Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming across to another episode of our podcast. And in this episode, we have Nirupa. Nirupa is going to be with us moving forward, and in as much as episode that we have. Nirupa is my good friend. Nirupa is a psychologist. So Nirupa is really good at what she do. Nirupa, how you going?
I'm good, Randy, and you?
I happy and just really blessed and really thankful. And you guys, in today's discussion, we're going to be talking a little bit about anxiety, right? Anxiety. And Nirupa is a person that I just always go to and talk to, ask for different opinions and different stuff and so on. And Nirupa is very good in counseling and so on. And we went to school together and so Nirupa, just tell us before I talk. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Okay, so my name is Nirupa Nandram. As Randy rightly identified, we went to USC together, we studied together, we interned together, and we also consult together. This is how we learn from each other, and this is also how we teach each other.
Right.
Like Randy, I'm also a counseling psychologist. I work with kids, I work with individuals and couples as well.
Sure. Nice. And so Nirupa, so today's discussion, we're going to be talking a little bit about anxiety. To me, every single human being go through anxiety, right? Right now, my New York Knicks team, the last season, they wasn't doing so good. I was full of anxiety. They wasn't doing so good at all. Full of anxiety. This year, I find they're doing a little better because they buy some players. So they're doing a little better. So we're going to see. But so we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety, what anxiety is, and what is the effects of anxiety, and how we can help, and how we also help our clients with anxiety and so on. So guys, so this podcast, is going to be concise and precise. And we're just going to talk a little bit about anxiety. And we're going to help you guys out on what we do to help our clients with who are going through a level of anxiety. So let's start, Nirupa. What is your definition of anxiety? I know there's so much online and so much on that they teach us and so on, but through your own definition and so on, just bringing it down to earth. What is your definition of anxiety?
Anxiety is really a feeling.
Yeah,
it is characterized by feeling intense fear, feeling worried, feeling uneasy, and experiencing occasional anxiety is normal. However, if it becomes intense, if it prevents you from going out, from sleeping, from eating properly, and it affects your everyday life, then we have a problem.
Right. So they say, last year when the New York Knicks was losing bad, and I was like, let me just say I felt a way where I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to go to, I didn't want to go out of the house. And all I was thinking about is New York Knicks losing. You would say that's a problem, right?
Well, yeah, it's affecting how you live your normal life.
Right.
It's affecting your ability to function normally.
Yes. And
to fulfill your duties, etc. So problems we have in.
Yes. And that is one of the key that I just look out for when I talking to clients and so on, when I realize that they're not functioning, especially in school, work, and these are some of the institutions: school, work, church, or in their home and so on, or sometimes in the playground, or sometimes in the sporting life and so on. Once they're not functioning, then we have to figure out what is the cause of not functioning, and if anxiety is the cause, then we deal with the anxiety as is. It's all about functioning. Sometimes they're not sleeping and so on. So once they're not sleeping well and so on, once they're not functioning, then that is when we step in and say, okay, you have an issue there, and anxiety is just one of the issues and so on. All right, so thank you very much for that definition. So let's deal with some of the causes, right? So from your experience in dealing with patients and so on, and I know that we have a lot of studies, and we went through a lot of studies when it comes to anxiety and so on. But when it comes to your patients and clients, and what is the common thing you see, especially in the Caribbean and specifically Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean wise and so on? I talked to some clients in the whole of the Caribbean and so on. And you know, we see similar symptoms of anxiety and so on. So let's go with the symptoms. What are some of the causes? Let's do with the symptoms, because the symptoms is very important. And I get individuals asking about symptoms a lot more than the causes. But let's study the symptoms. So what are some of the symptoms of anxiety?
Okay, well, before we look at the symptoms, I would like to mention that anxiety, and for that fact, a lot of other mental health concerns are influenced by factors like your family history.
Family history, so sure.
If you have relatives who have experienced mental health issues, there may be a genetic predisposition. Also, true. Childhood experiences, right? Being bullied, neglected, or abused as a child. And also your own surroundings can contribute to how much anxiety you experience. For example, if you live in a high stress neighborhood, or you know, like a bad neighborhood, and you always have to be watching over your shoulder, this can also make your symptoms worse.
Right. And you know, Nirupa, what I realized is that because of the COVID, right? COVID, COVID caused a lot of high level of anxiety to go up, right? Because of the fear, and you know, so anxieties are something.
I can speak to that.
Yes.
It has affected me because I was pretty anxious to be out in public, because I mean, when the cases were rising, we didn't know, especially with this Delta variant, we didn't know who had it. Some of them had it and they were pretty healthy. And me with my issues, I did not want at all to get sick. So definitely COVID.
Right. And you know, what is nice to hear what you talk about there, Nirupa, is that even though we are therapists and psychologists and so on, we also go through life traumas, life events too as well. The COVID, it affected all of us, all human beings, it affected. So it's like we also have to constantly work on ourselves too as well, even though we are therapists and too as well, you know. So I'm glad to hear that we are not perfect individuals neither. We still have to go through. Yeah, we are all humans, and one thing I would like to mention is that, you know, every single human being go through stress. Every single human being go through stress. Every single human being go through a level of anxiety too as well. You know, but it's how we manage it, right?
That is true.
It's how we manage the anxiety, and you know, it's very important that we learn how to manage the anxiety so that you won't reach a point where we are not functioning as you were saying. And that is when now a therapist comes into the picture, because individuals have not learned how to function within that environment of, you know, of anxiety. All right, so so we're talking about anxiety, guys, and we're talking, we want to get some symptoms of anxiety so that, you know, so when I get a phone call, people say that, you know, I feel I have anxiety, and so I ask them, so how do you know you have anxiety? What are some of the symptoms that you know that you have anxiety? Talk to me. So Nirupa, give me some examples of what customers will tell you of what are some of the symptoms of anxiety.
Well, many clients speak about feeling nervous, feeling restless,
nervous,
being tense all the time.
Right.
Having a sense of impending danger, panicking or doom. Having elevated heart rates, because, you know, the body, when you're in a state of panic, when you're experiencing anxiety, your body is prepped for movement because you're anticipating something going to happen. So your adrenaline kicking in. This is a whole neurobiological thing happening here now. And your adrenaline kicking in to prepare you to act, right? We talk about rapid breathing, sweating, trembling. Sometimes they even feel weak or tired and could barely move, could barely get out the door. They also have trouble concentrating. Right? They have trouble focusing, especially at work, at school, and it affects their performance. They also have trouble sleeping. Remember, we talked about the adrenaline, and when your body is on the go, it is hard for you to relax to get that sleep. Yes. And when your sleep is affected, right, that throws off your entire day. Just even one night could affect your day after. So you could imagine a couple days, a couple weeks not sleeping properly, what that could do. People also have gastrointestinal problems such as acid reflux. And they may think it's totally unrelated to anxiety, but sometimes it is. So this is why you also need to check with your doctor. Right? They have problems controlling how much they worry.
Controlling how much they worry.
Yeah, because
Right.
worrying is normal, is a normal part of life. You worrying about your next, and
Yeah.
I'm worrying about my COVID, right? But at the same time, when that becomes the sole focus, right? I mean, for me, I know I'm concerned about, this is an example, I'm concerned about, I may come into contact with someone who's infected.
Right.
I may spread it. So to prevent that, I'm being proactive here. Instead of worrying about that, sanitize frequently, change clothes upon entry the home, wipe doors, door handles, all these things, keep 6 feet apart, wear my mask all the time when I'm outside. So these things are precautions I will take for myself to prevent that from happening. However, if I'm constantly worrying about, oh my gosh, I might get COVID, how is that helping me? I can't really function. I'm just thinking about it all the time, and it is basically prohibiting me from acting because my brain is preoccupied with that one thought. Yes. So this is where I mean by uncontrolled worry.
Yeah. And you said some good points there that I had to jot down. And we talk about sleeping.
Yes.
That sleeping part of it is very important, right? Because we talk about if you have a high level of insomnia, right? So you're not sleeping properly, or you're not sleeping at all. I have clients told me that sometimes they sleep, they sleep and they jump out of the sleep, like as if they just wake up after a nightmare, so they're unable to sleep properly.
Yes.
So sleeping, you see, the thing about sleeping, guys, is that sleeping helps you to regenerate yourself. You're regenerating yourself, and your sleeping helps you to function better on the next day because you're regenerating you're resting your body, and you're regenerating cells within your body and your brain and so on. So when you are sleeping, you are actually healing yourself at times too as well. But when you're not sleeping, you tend to not function the next day, and then with a high level of anxiety and no sleep, that just catapult the issue to be even more worse. So sometimes I would say sleeping is just a good therapeutic method of just getting a good rest, a good night's sleep. Nirupa is really, really good, because sleeping really do help. That's why sometimes you have clients come and they talk about when they issue with sleeping. I try to help them to work on their sleeping, so that's important. And another one of the issues you talk about is the fear and of the rapid heartbeat, just beating fast because of some perceived fear. So it's like a fight or flight situation where the clients are in, where they have a perceived fear in their mind. No,
right. So the body is prepped to act.
Yeah. Right. So I don't want to get into the science of it, but some chemicals are releasing from your brain to prep you now to either to fight or to move or to run because because anxiety is you're fearful. You have a perceived fear of something, right? It is a perceived. It's not happening, but it's a perceived. Let's just say Nirupa, a dog want to run you down. A dog barking at you, I want to run you down. Your brain don't prep me to say, hey, either you pick up a big stone and you pelt that dog, Nirupa, or you get out it. So your brain prepping to get out it. Now, the thing about anxiety, I realize, Nirupa, is that when you have a perceived fear, your brain, that same prepping that your brain is prepping for, is prepping you all through that perceived fear. So that same adrenaline, that same chemicals releasing from your brain when you prepping to run away from that dog, Nirupa, or to pelt that
Yes.
dog. It's the same chemicals releasing when you have that perceived fear. And if you have that for a prolonged length of time, it can break you down. And that is when you stop functioning, and that we can do that not functioning, and you're not sleeping properly because you always have this perceived fear in your mind,
that something is gonna happen,
something is gonna happen
to you.
Yeah, something is gonna happen. And sometimes it is really nothing, it's just a perceived fear, or sometimes it could be something from the past that kind of perceive, that have something that event happening in the past that triggers that perceived fear. So sometimes we have to deal with that too as well, even from the back in the past, Nirupa,
but sometimes it may even be a real fear. Take, for example, living in a bad neighborhood. So
yes, it's true. Yes,
in that way, anxiety can be experiencing that level of anxiety, not so much as it preventing you from coming out of the house, but having that little trigger, it also helps you. So you say, for example, you live in a bad neighborhood, and you come home from work, say at 6 in the evening. These days it's pretty dark at that time, right? So in your mind, you're anticipating there may be characters about, I'm going to prepare myself. So because of that, as you say, perceived fear, we think something may happen. We make preparations. So we call somebody to meet us out the road, walk in with us, or somehow we organize to get a drop to our home, right? And also we walk with company. Don't do it alone.
Right.
So anxiety, a little bit of anxiety could help us prep in anticipation of a future event. In case it happens, in case it doesn't happen.
True.
Right?
So what you're saying, Nirupa, is that sometimes a little anxiety is good.
It could be good. Take, for example, another example, school, being in school. You're anxious about, okay, test coming up. Right? What am I going to do? I can't, if worrying about the test is not going to help. Right? So what I will do, I will pull my topics and start to do self-revision, self-tests. That bit of anxiety is helping me now to help myself later on during the test. Because worrying about it, thinking about it, and stressing over it is not going to help me pass the exam.
True.
But worrying about not passing the exam, I'm going to prep myself from now.
I'm
going to study, do reviews, get help, talk with a teacher. And that is how I will use that in a positive way. So later on, I'm not going to have any problems.
You know how I look at it? I look at it as anxiety as some kind of signal in your body. Some kind of physical signal. It's like a signal for me.
Telling you something is up.
Something is up. Whether there's an exam coming up that you have to prep for a little more, or just a signal. But you have to verify it so that it's just in case it's a perceived signal.
Right.
It's a real dog coming after you, or like my New York Knicks doing Lala. So so it's like a perceived. It's like you have to verify yourself. And I will give you what I just do to manage my New York Knicks. I will let you know.
Of course.
I will let you know coming down in this podcast, exactly what I just do to manage. Because if I were to study New York Knicks all the time, Nirupa, I feel I will break down. I will mash up. And I will break down because New York is just, they're not doing so good. That was last year. They did a little better, but this year we buy some players in Europe. We buy some players. So, and for some people, Nirupa, is the West Indies.
Yeah,
it's the West Indies cricket team. It's the national cricket team. For some people, it's football. The team lost and they reach a point where they're not functioning at all because the team lost. So it's many different things that could help, that could carry people into a level of anxiety. And something, before I continue, I always talk this in my workshops on them, that when people don't learn how to manage manage their anxiety, you have a cousin. I just call him the cousin right next door, knocking on your door. Like depression. Just right in, Nirupa. If that person spiral along in anxiety, depression ready to knock on the door to jump in and just join in with that anxiety. And next thing you know, you have two issues now. You have depression and you have anxiety to deal with. You know, so it's like to manage the anxiety is very, very important. All right. So I have one more thing here. I have things like a nausea as a part of some of the symptoms for, you know, you're feeling nausea in your stomach, you're feeling upset in your stomach. I also have a dizziness or lightheaded. I think that is when you're not breathing properly because of the panic attacks. You're not breathing properly and so on. So it goes to your head and you start to feel dizzy. Right?
There's something called vertigo. Right? People who experience anxiety also experience vertigo. I've had a couple clients. Well, as you talk about the dizziness.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Also, you talked about the nausea. That's like a gastrointestinal issue.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes when the panic is too much, I've had a couple clients report having a blackout. And you are correct about the anxiety together with depression, because there are people who come in with both. Right? Experiencing prolonged anxiety, not being able to manage it properly, it affects your living. It affects your ability to function normally. It affects your daily life. And this can lead to, as Randy said, depression knocking on your door.
Yeah, it knocks on your door. You know, we can go on and on, but I don't want to go too on and on with too much. I have all kind of thing here as decreased libido. We have digestive issues, you know, and anxiety. We can go on and on. And some of these things are related to stress issues, related to stress.
Yes.
You know, so it's like all of them is like related. But I want to move on now to what do you do to help your clients who come to you with anxiety? Now, again, guys, we can talk a lot about a lot of these. We have weaknesses and fatigue, but we don't want to get too much deep into that, right? I like to keep my podcast concise and precise, short and sweet. But we're going to get into know, what do you do, Nirupa, to help your clients who come in with anxiety? What are some of the models you use?
So I primarily use cognitive behavioral therapy as a way to help clients.
Nice.
That is essentially how you think. What you think about is going to influence how you feel.
Right.
And how you feel is how you're going to behave or react. So we're going to look at, as Randy said, the perceived fear. We're going to look at the source of this anxiety. Where did it start? What was the event? What happened around the event? And why is it causing distress now? Right? We're going to look at the beginning also to confirm that my client is indeed dealing with anxiety. There are a couple of psychometric tests.
Right. Yes.
That assess a person's experience. So you would know on a scale how much anxiety. Another thing about anxiety is trauma. If someone is experiencing trauma, right? We know post-traumatic stress disorder. Right. They also have elevated symptoms of anxiety. Right. And considering a lot of things happening in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of clients are actually experiencing trauma. They've been robbed. Right. For example, experiencing layoffs, having problems in the family. All these things. And the thing is, these things, if you can't really cope with it or manage them properly, they're going to cause problems later on. So the long and short of it is we need to see where it started from, right? Where it started. So what I do is I look at the symptoms that are causing issues now. So before I actually start with the cognitive behavioral therapy. And I also use some aspects of dialectic behavior therapy, such as...
That's DBT.
Yes.
Dialectic behavior therapy. Okay.
Yes. which includes mindfulness, distress tolerance. All these things are helpful
Right. Yes, yes,
for
yes,
a
yes.
client who is experiencing anxiety, right? So let's take sleep, for example.
Yeah,
Sleep
sure.
is a
Sleep.
big factor.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
if you don't get enough sleep, it makes your symptoms worse. So
Mm.
what I do is I help them come up with a sleep routine, a bedtime
Sleep,
routine.
a sleep routine.
Yes, to help
Okay.
them set the mood for sleep. So,
Right,
for
right.
example, we turn off electronics by a certain time. We
Okay.
have a
Okay.
set bedtime.
Right,
Yeah,
right, 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 right.
we prepare the bedroom where you sleep
Mm.
for exactly that sleep. We incorporate a bit of journaling,
Mm-hmm,
and that
mm-hmm,
helps you de-stress as well,
mm-hmm.
right? We look at something called binaural beats, which are sound waves that helps the
Oh,
brain
yeah,
relax.
yeah, yeah,
I
yes.
told you about them already,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes,
Good,
yes,
good.
yes.
It helps the brain relax.
Yes,
And we
yes.
also practice some deep breathing exercises. It's really a yogic exercise for
Mm.
breath. And this helps relax the entire body.
Right, 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 right.
So things like this, we incorporate into something called a sleep routine, a bedtime
Routine.
routine.
A sleep routine. Yeah, I know
Yes.
there are a lot of people, not just only trying to be we're talking about the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
that have issues with sleeping. Sleeping
Mm-hmm.
alone, Narupa, is something that I have to read books on literally by itself.
Yeah.
And also sleeping people, a lot of people having problems sleeping, Narupa. A lot of people, you know.
Yeah, well, stress is a big player in that.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I like how you said that you use CBT, which is
Mm-hmm.
cognitive behavior therapy. And I also use cognitive behavior therapy. It is one of the foundational methods that we learn. And it's very simple to use. It's very easy to get into. It's very easy to teach our clients about and so on. And that is like the foundation how we treat most of our sessions. I don't really use too much DBT, which is dielectric behavior therapy. I also get involved. I like the use of positive psychology and the use
Mm-hmm.
of solution-focused brief therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
solution focus is almost related to CBT. However, with solution-focused brief therapy now, is basically we try to ask certain questions and we put the client as in charge of each session where we now try to help the clients to come up with solutions for their own problems, right?
Right.
And so, but sometimes it have a little pros and cons. So sometimes I have to use the CBT, which is the cognitive behavior therapy, where your thoughts creates your feelings and your feelings
Yes.
creates your actions, behavior, or words.
Yes.
So therefore we have, and therefore that words or our behavior or actions reinforce your thinking. And then now it
Yes.
continues like
Yes.
a cycle.
It
And
is.
therefore I have to use that as the foundation for my sessions and so on. Positive psychology also do help at times for anxiety, depression, and so on. It mostly helps Narupa with helping people with careers. Positive psychology helps with many aspects of their life too, as well, especially
Mm-hmm.
depression and so on. So I use those three main modules. I am now doing some work on motivational interviewing.
Okay.
It's something similar to solution-focused therapy.
Brief therapy.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, but the main foundation is CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy as well. A lot of people use psychoanalysis. They have lots of different modules that people use, but I
Yeah.
use cognitive behavior therapy, and I see that you use it too as well. And I realize you said you use DBT, which is dielectric behavior therapy. I also incorporate some solution focus as well as positive psychology within my sessions too as well. And Narupa, one aspect of CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy, is that the belief system or the belief
Uh-huh.
and the belief, what the clients believe, or what people believe, influence their thinking. So they have some belief systems out there that clients come to sessions with, that this is what they believe, and that belief system creates how they think. I think, give me an example. Whenever you go to a life event, whether it's in the past or in the present, that life event now triggers your belief system. Whatever that life event is, let me say as simple as a dog barking, simple as your boss cussing you out, simple as, you know, divorce or whatever you go through in life, all that is called life event.
Yeah.
That life event triggers now a belief inside of you. That belief system was developed based on your environment, how you grew up, watching your parents, watching family, you go to school, church, every single part of your environment, you picked up that and create something called a belief. That belief now, so when you go to a life event, that triggers your belief that this is how it's supposed to be, or this is how you think. That belief now causes you to think a certain way. And how you think now creates that feeling, and that feeling now will create now your action or behavior, and therefore that goes on in a cycle. That now is sometimes it reached the point where, Nirupa, that is like the foundation for now your depression, anxiety, and many other major mental illnesses, because of how they think that and how their belief creates that thinking, right? So let me give you some one or two of that or some belief system that I have to recognize within my clients when they come to talk to me. When a client comes to talk to me about something called all or nothing thinking.
When they can, they must, they should, they have to.
So it's like having a concrete, so should and must statements is having a concrete idea of how people should behave. I should get all A's to be a good student. I must do this to do that. That person, my partner must do that, or they should do that. Whenever I see those kind of type of statements, I get an idea of what is their belief. Let me give you another one. Another one is called catastrophizing. That is called predicting only negative outcome for the future.
Yeah.
You only have negative outcome for what's going to happen in the future. That now creates a level of anxiety, a higher level of anxiety, because you only have a negative outlook of the future. And that is called catastrophizing. Okay, guys, we can go on and on. Let me give you one last one. One last one is called mind reading, which is believing you know what others are thinking. I get that one a lot. Like, for instance, you walk into a room, you know, don't sort of think, you believe what everybody they're thinking. And everybody
and believe me, is nothing good, eh? Is nothing good. Because you think people thinking the worst of you. They criticize you, they judge you. And this belief goes on, and this actually prevents you from wanting to go out, wanting to meet people, and stops you from being brave. And in most situations today, we need to be brave.
Yeah, sure. And you see, and that type of thinking now, or belief rather, that type of belief, it's when you start to believe that labeling, you call that label, mind reading, believing you know what others are thinking. Most of the time, nobody is studying you, you know.
That's true, because everybody worried about their own self.
Yeah, everybody's studying their own self, and nobody is studying you. And you think, you know, because of mind reading, you believe what everybody's thinking. So when clients come in, I look out for some of these type of belief systems, that belief so that belief creates that level of thinking that creates now the feelings of anxiety, and that's why they behave a certain way, and then it goes all around in our cycle, Nirupa, and then that's when they stop functioning because of that simple belief system, you know. And it's something that we deal with as to our clients, Nirupa. And you know, so CBT helps with that. Cognitive behavior therapy really do help with helping to identify that thought processing. And then now, when they identify that thought process, you now have to identify now what type of negative belief system is that. So for me and my clients now, I had them do some journaling. I was talking about journaling before. You write down what are they thinking at that point in time, and then write down what type of negative belief system is that. So we have about 11 of them. Some have more. So they have to go through that and label and give me what type of thought is that. And then now they have to say, okay, how can I think differently within that situation? What are
First,
the
we need to look for the evidence.
yes,
What evidence is there to show
yes,
that, you know,
yes,
everybody is looking at me and judging me?
yes, evidence. And that is key. And that is very important too as
Yeah.
well. So Nirupa, thank you very much. We can talk on and on. And you know what, guys?
Oh, wait, before we go,
Yeah,
let's
sure.
look at not only therapy is used to help with anxiety and stress. A big part about managing anxiety and stress is your ability to cope,
Oh,
right?
yes, yes,
If
yes.
you don't really have any kind of coping skills to help you
Mm,
manage your daily stress, the
mm,
stress compounds and it hits you with a block of anxiety.
mm,
So what I also incorporate in my work with my clients, I
mm.
also talk about exercise. So,
Ah,
right. So
awesome.
Randy, let's hear how exercise helps you.
Now, watch me. When I tell you Nirupa, exercise is one of the best things I just do that help me with anxiety too as well. I'm gonna give you a story. And this, I always talk about the story, always talk about the story.
Yeah.
It was some years ago that I was feeling real down, real high level of anxiety, I wasn't feeling good at all, Nirupa. But them days I was going gym, and them days, that particular time, I had a life event, a life event. I don't want to go through the life event, but it was a life event that had me feeling really down and out, high level of anxiety. I wasn't, just this tenseness,
Yes.
just tense. And I tell myself, I crawl up in my bed now, Rupa, and I say, but you see me, I good, I ain't going nowhere. I crawl up in my bed now, Rupa, feeling, down and everything. And I have a brethren at home because I have a gym partner. All the time we go in gym, but I ain't feeling it. So my gym partner, big up to Jeremy, enough respect to Jeremy. I'm a gym partner from a long time. Jeremy come and say, boy, what me going gym on? I say, boy, I say, boy, we're going gym. Let's go. I say, I just find this strength to crawl out my bed. And I went in the gym now, Rupa. And when in the gym now, I started pump iron like crazy. I'm pumping iron. You believe that after I finished that workout, I felt way better, much better, feeling good. I could think better to analyze the situation I was going through, come up with solutions, write them down, and then continue working. I'm like, now I dress back the night or the couple of days after I rock back. And I say, but wait now, Randy. All this time I go into school studying psychology or a master's degree or whatever. And I realized one of the main solutions is right in front of me, exercising. And because I exercise now, Rupa, that was so good in helping me with my anxiety and that level of depression I was going through at that point in time. And I didn't know, and I didn't study it. It's only after when I started reading more about exercise and anxiety and so on and how it helps out. I realized now dieting now help. Dieting helps to manage your anxiety.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm glad you talk about that because
yeah.
the foods we eat can also have a negative impact on how we feel and how we think as well. So I also incorporate alternative treatments in mental health, things like exercise, diet.
Yeah.
I would recommend they stay off caffeinated beverages, right?
Right.
We also look at a healthy, balanced diet for your mental health as well. So we reduce the amount of gluten we consume, how much processed carbohydrates, processed sugars, fried foods. We want to eat as clean as possible. And it is not only good for your waistline, it's good for your brain.
Yeah. You don't know. And I want to say thank you very much, Nirupa, because exercise, and I forgot about that. And thank you for reminding me of that, because that experience that I had, I never forget it. Never forget it. And everybody who come to me about anxiety, as far as possible, I try to encourage them to do some level of walking.
Yes.
Or so, if they can't walk, some level of contracting and releasing of them of some parts of the muscle, whether the arm, the shoulders, some part of it where you can feel the tension leaving you and squeezing your hand and feel the tension leaving you. Some part of it, because exercise really did help. And I don't want to get into the science of what it does to the brain, but woo, Nirupa, when I say I felt so much better, I felt so much better, and it was really, really awesome. I want to thank God for that. And before we close, and I want to say this too as well, before we close up, I was doing some research and so on into the spiritual healing of anxiety, right? When I say spiritual, I mean biblical. And I was just listening to one of my favorite pastors, Pastor Randy Skeet. He's from Barbados, but he living in the States. And he was talking about being anxious and anxiety. And he was talking about, some parts of that, once you have a level of trust with God and so on, you don't have to feel anxious or anxiety. I don't talk to all my clients about this, but once my client wants to talk about the spirituality about anxiety,
then you bring it up.
Then I bring it up. Then
Exactly.
I bring it up and so on. And that is when I try to encourage them about how God can help you out with your anxiety, how God can, relieve you of some of your pains and burdens and so on, and therefore you don't have to worry about certain things. And we don't want to get into it, but one of these days now we could get into the spiritual healing of anxiety, right? And all these are just nice ideas for more podcasts and so on.
Coping skills is one. We need to look at coping skills, things people could practice on a daily basis to help them deal with stress. Right? The spiritual aspect of mental health and how it heals people, how it gives them support. You have a lot of good. We need to write this down though.
Sure. Well, I'm writing along a little bit as we go along. So I'm literally writing along as we go along, because these are just some other nice ideas now we probably can come across with to help individuals, especially around this time and so on. And I know this is going to be on different social networks and so on. But Nirupa, I want you to let the folks out there know how they can reach you. What is some of the ways that you could? What is your social media platform, or how they can reach you? They say like they're going through some issue and they say, listen, I want to talk to Nirupa. How can they reach you?
Well, I haven't set up my website as yet. That's still in progress. But I do have Instagram. So I practice under the name Iveni Te Ipsum, which is Latin for find yourself. Awesome. So it's not my premise is that it's not you're lost, but through therapy, through practices like journaling, exercise, these things could help you really discover who you are and help you live a more fulfilling life.
Right.
I can be contacted via email at evenitherapy.com@gmail.com.
Right.
And my phone number, well, Randy, you could list it in your dialogue at the bottom.
Okay, sure. I will list it and within the comment, within the description section, guys. I'm gonna put Nirupa's number in the description section. Obviously, guys, to reach me, I can reach me almost anywhere. So you could reach me on YouTube, Self-Help Mastery Project, Instagram page. You can reach me 868. That is our local number, 868-688-6758. You can reach me on Twitter, guys. You can reach me on WhatsApp, guys. I'm all over. Nirupa is all over. And we do help individuals.
Mostly, yes.
Yeah. We help individuals and so on, guys. Nirupa, I'm hoping that we can talk to you again. In fact, I'm going to talk to you again. So we're going to have more conversations like this again. And so on, so we can help as much people with their mental health issues and so on. And we're going to invite more guests, Nirupa. We're going to invite more guests to come on and just talk their experiences or talk what they do to help others and so on. Even some individuals and business people, what they do to manage their stress and to manage and to cope with their level of anxiety too as well. So guys, I want to thank you very much for listening to this podcast. This is also a self-help mastery project podcast. I'm going to leave a link where you can listen to more episodes of our podcast and so on. And you can also follow Nirupa on her Instagram page. I'm going to put the link in the description too as well. So Nirupa, thank you very much for coming across. I'm going to contact you again. We're going to have more and more discussions moving forward. All right, Nirupa, you have anything you want to close off with? Anything you want to talk and say to close off?
No, I guess we covered everything pretty much.
Okay, sure.
And anything we want to bring up now, that's an entire new episode. So
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you on the next one.